The last thing I want to hear about is Democrats complaining about money influencing elections when they are literally bought and paid for themselves and never complained when all the money was sent to them. They're complaining that people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg all have major monopolies that need to be split up so they can stop sending money to Republicans. But that's a ridiculous argument coming from them, who literally raised $1.5 billion, some even say 1.65. They actually had more billionaires back Harris. 83 billionaires backed Harris and 52 backed Trump. Harris's campaign reported that in the third quarter, 95% of their donations came from individual small donors. Democrats are typically more known to send money to their favorite politicians, which makes sense. They like wasting their life away doing nothing, so why not waste their money then try to get government assistance? The logic totally makes sense. But because people like Elon Musk are more high profile and Democrats don't like researching who donates to them, all of a sudden, it's a travesty that billionaires backed Trump. But Democrats, go check yourself. I don't think anyone is really happy about the fact that you can donate millions of dollars to super PACs to fund a candidacy, but it happens both ways. And the one thing you can't say about the election of Trump is that he bought the election when Kamala raised over double the money Trump did and blew it all away, just like when Kamala blew Willie Brown to get famous. But unfortunately for Bill Maher, he had to get reminded on the fact that Democrats are paid for, and he didn't really have much to say after that.
Biden said today an oligarchy is taking shape of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. Obviously, we've seen the tableau, we're about to see it at the inauguration. Bezos, Musk, and Zuckerberg are all on the dais. I think this is who Joe Biden is.
Tim Cook, I think, too.
Yeah, and the guy from TikTok. We'll get to that. And, you know, these are all the most powerful men in the world because we want to stick it to the elitists. And I don't think Joe Biden is wrong. I mean, he talked about back in the day, 100 years ago, I remember when, I don't remember, but I remember reading that John D. Rockefeller, I think at one point, was worth 2% of GDP in this country. And they did something about it. They did. They created antitrust, and they broke up Standard Oil. I don't see us doing that with this group, should we?
There's always been a large conversation around, especially on Capitol Hill, regulation of social media companies and how you're going to do that in order to not step on the First Amendment. But I find it very difficult for Joe Biden to credibly hold argument about the tech industrial complex when it has so served Democrats up into this point. He talks about the fact that there is extreme wealth and that this needs to be broken up. Democrats didn't have a problem with that extreme wealth when $1 billion was raised by Kamala Harris in under 100 days to be able to try to fuel her to the presidency. Nobody minded extreme wealth then. They didn't mind extreme power when Joe Biden was able to unilaterally pardon his son for over a decade of alleged or convicted crimes. And they certainly didn't mind extreme influence when both the Biden White House and the Biden campaign were pressuring these social media companies to suppress conversations, stories, the Hunter Biden laptop story, people pushing back on COVID that they didn't like. So while we can definitely have a conversation on the overall merits of regulation when it comes to social media companies and the uber wealthy, if you want to, in this country, but Joe Biden has no credibility to carry that argument.
Look, there is the constant debate on the dissemination of information via social media platforms. When you get to be so big, should it be legally allowed to have an algorithm that suppresses information favoring one side of the political aisle? Having dealt with suppression myself, I think it should be illegal for platforms like Instagram and Twitter to shadow ban you because you don't like what I have to say. Because the question always comes down to who is the arbiter of truth. And now that TikTok is officially banned as of last night, even though Trump will likely reinstate it, should the government be allowed to do that? From a national security standpoint, I think absolutely, but I think more people are in support of this ban because of the information about the Israel and Palestine war. The conversation about that war is more than any other platform on TikTok, and you probably can blame the Free Palestine movement solely to TikTok. I don't give my opinion on this war because I don't know enough or care enough, and I don't like jumping on bandwagons. One thing that bothers me about this Israel conflict is that the amount of influence AIPAC has. I think there's something more sinister behind this ban, that's all.